So let's debrief the observation from Denise's.
Okay.
I have my observation notes here. Do you want to share yours first, and then we can look through the observation notes, these ones together?
Yeah, sure thing. Right when class started, all were on their Chromebooks, 100%. Denise was just circulating during that time. My wonder was that the seating, I don't think she uses seating charts, but she's probably already established classroom norms. And I was just curious, because it seems like from my experience, a lot of the geometry kids, or like the high excelling kids, were seated at the front, and those that tend to struggle in my class were seated in the back. So I was curious, my wonder is like, maybe like, what about having a seating chart where like one mentor student is sitting next to like a couple of students that could use extra help. 5 minutes in, 7 people were done, and then she ensured that nobody had idle time. So nobody had idle time, so she made them check to see what was on her website. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but is it Calaxia? Calaxia. So they're just checking to see if they needed, or if they've done any homework, or if they were turning it, or if they needed to turn in homework. Then they were going to take notes on the 3 acts. My question was, how are the notes organized? Does Miss Denise do notebook check, binder check, etc., etc.? And then she went on to frame. Oh, she rolled out 3 acts, but then she framed Act 1. She gave the expectations. Hey, I'm going to show this twice. What are you to do? And then it was all guesses. They were just simply guessing. Guess high, guess low, and then guess what you think is just right. During that time, everyone had actually 100%, in my perspective, had really positive body language. So they were focused. And then she gave us a minute specifically to tell your guess to your elbow partner. I don't remember how much time she allocated to allow
to the guest here.
Well, the guess was like only like 10 seconds, right? It was just like
it was 5 seconds.
It was 5 seconds. Okay. And then going forward, Act 2, a lot of scaffolding, clarifying questions. What really got me was that there was no timer given, but it seemed like kids were just meeting the expectations. Or at least they looked like it. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's what I got.
What were some things that you saw were effective from the observation?
I think it's just her establishing her classroom expectations. This is done in like September. I'm not saying that it can't be done in March by any means, but I think the expectations are already there. But just going through her progressions, the expectations of them opening up their Chromebooks and having it out, all were met. That allowed her to use less energy, She's not fishing around for another Chromebook. A kid, there isn't a kid that doesn't have a Chromebook charge. Everyone had pencils. So the energy now that she's using is so much less. All she had to do was just circulate. And what really got me was that she did not have to clarify any expectations during that time.
Did you see her do any redirections? Or hear any redirections?
To students? I honestly don't think so. Aside from one that was dealing with like an illness or a sickness or whatever, she allowed him to blow his nose, but then she had to redirect him back. But nothing out of the blue. I don't know, did you catch anything?
I noticed a couple things. So at the very beginning, around 1:11, Cesar Avalos was staring at his Chromebook, and he had the incorrect website.
Got it.
All of the students were filling out a Google form for the launch,
Mhm.
and he was staring at Illuminate page for testing.
Mhm.
And so then Denise walked over and used proximity so
Mhm.
that he can get started.
Okay.
I think she may have whispered a few things to him.
And I'm sorry,
he-
proximity in this context, just like coming in closer to him, right?
Mhm.
Did I check in? Okay.
Exactly. I think she ended up whispering something with him, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure what was said because it was so soft.
Mhm.
There was another point when at the front, Aryan and the other student at the front were not, it seemed like they probably were doing something else. And so she went over to them at some point that I wrote down. I don't know where I wrote it down. Yep, Denise uses proximity to redirect students non-verbally. So it was Jocelyn. She stood right
Okay,
behind Jossie and Aryan to let them know that like she's circulating and she's
Jocelyn was in
monitoring
that
them.
classroom, huh? I didn't
Yeah,
even catch
she
that.
was at the very front with Aryan. The last part that I saw was that when she asked students to close their Chromebook, she said, Aryan, I'm waiting for you to close your computer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And it totally seems natural.
Yeah.
Like,
they're
they don't
in the
even-
front then, right? To the
Mhm.
side.
Yeah.
Okay.
It probably didn't even seem like a redirection
Uh-huh.
because
It was just very subtle.
it was very subtle. Exactly.
Until like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But Aryan, I'm waiting for you to close your computer.
Mhm.
That could be, it's still neutral.
Yeah.
And he closed his computer.
Mm-hmm.
What parts of it do you think you can take back to your classroom?
I would say more so just the framing. Like, if I
Mhm.
really want to roll this out, a lot of Act One is just taking guesses, right? So you're not just like submerging them in the deep waters right away. So I would just lightly submerge them in, and I feel like their like confidence in themselves or like just their like self-efficacy and like taking guesses. You're nobody's gonna be wrong. So that Act One is just like a light introduction, and I loved how she had like guesses. Literally, Act One was just guess this, guess that, guess high, guess low, guess what do you think is just right. So that's literally all. That's what I saw for Act One specifically, and then Act Two. She clarified a lot of things that might have needed to been addressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she did very limited scaffolding too.
Mm-hmm.
So she had a visual on the board of the scoreboard, and she went over the first two scores. And she was able to do that, and people were able to understand because just the expectations of classroom management were there. So she didn't hold her hands for the entirety of it, but she kind of just like started, and she kind of just showed them the pattern, but she didn't like go forth with the entirety of like getting from 7 points to 83 points. So,
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure you were able to notice, but like who was doing most of the heavy lifting?
The students were. And the heavy lifting was kind of done when she allowed them to communicate with elbow partners. So if they were lost, or if they felt like they were lost at any point, that's where like the redirections happened essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell your guest to your elbow partner, in quotes.
And
yeah.
we didn't get to see Act 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got to see a little bit of it, and students were like on their way to solving the problem. What do you think of the 3-act strategy?
From seeing the first 2 acts, it just looked very effective. My push is just simply maintaining classroom management.
Mm-hmm.
That's on my end.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we watched it work effectively in a class where there's a lot of tremendous classroom management. That's like one of my areas of growth.
Mm-hmm. I think you could do it though. Do you think it's possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Like setting the expectations.
Yeah.
When do you want to roll this out in particular?
When would you be open to rolling it out?
I'm doing CIAs on Tuesday.
And yeah,
Monday. I would be open, because I do have to communicate with the Nifty, with I guess my Nifty mentor
Yeah.
as to when he's coming in. Friday. I would try to do it during the long ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you want me to come support classes while you roll out this strategy?
Support in what manner?
Well, two things that I'm hearing from you. Number one, you're going to be rolling out the 3-act strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I could observe and take notes on that,
Mm-hmm.
which we can then use for our 9th grade math team, and then
Yep.
see if Denise has any feedback
Mhm.
as well. The second thing is that I'm hearing some resetting in terms of like classroom management.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's something that you're interested in, but
Mhm.
I'd be open to doing that to support
Okay.
you.
The first one sounds great,
Okay.
because at least you could just see everything,
Yeah.
before anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you feel about the second one?
The second one, I think if I'm not able to gauge, the majority interest, or if there are like certain struggle points, then that would be great.
What would that look like?
Well, we would re-meet, or we would meet up again, right? We would look at your observation notes,
Mhm.
and then I would talk about like my pain points or like what I'm struggling with in particular, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do that. Well, I ask because sometimes, like in certain classrooms, some teachers want me to help manage behavior,
Mhm.
and then some teachers would not prefer me to manage behavior with them. So
Mhm.
I'm asking which one you prefer.
I prefer the first one simply. I think I feel like that'd be most effective first.
Yep.
Um,
I agree. That way, it's like I'm not taking authority from you in
Yeah.
the classroom. Like
Uh-huh.
students know that this is still your classroom,
Mhm.
and it's your expectations, not
Yeah.
me. I will only be there then to observe, and I will just gonna be a fly on the wall.
Okay, got it. I think, to be honest, have you ever heard of like expectancy theory, where like you kind of like mold your actions based off your past experiences of someone? So let's just say if you've had 10 substitute teachers that had similar like actions, and then the 11th one comes but the 11th one has all the intentions in the world to reinforce classroom expectations from like the normal teacher. Generally, like the kids would divert regardless. You know what I mean? Sorry, I don't want to run on a tangent, but I came in during summer school time, and it was just summer school is run totally different in terms of classroom management.
Yeah.
So I kind of molded my expectations based off how I was allowed to manage children in summer school.
And how is that different?
A lot of differentiation, because I was working with small classroom
right.
sizes, and I didn't have access to IEP, so I didn't know what they were, I didn't know what resources they needed. So I kind of just felt like I'd like hold their hands. And I think that definitely
Has shaped the relationships and the interactions that you have with students now.
correct, yeah, because that's what I've been doing. The kid doesn't have a pencil, I'm like running over, grabbing a pencil, like Chromebook, etc. Having restorative, what I see or perceive to be like restorative conversation, etc. So I feel like it's just I'm so new to this game that I'm just so curious as to like if we can shift. And, progress has been made, but if we could shift to or like reset, like completely reset.
Okay.
But I mean,
do you think it's possible?
I feel like I'm being a realist. I don't think a complete reset is possible, but just like maintaining the ship for sure. During times like this.
Yeah. I definitely think it's possible. We can hold off and see like what comes out of the observation notes on Wednesday.
Okay.
First period.
Got
Is
it.
first period better or Thursday better?
Wednesday first period would be great.
Okay.
So I'll keep that in mind. And it'll at least give me time during the weekend to get my stuff right.
And I also think that based on what we see in terms of the patterns and trends on the notes from the observation from period 1 on Wednesday, then we can see, we can identify, what's the key leverage thing that a move that you can do in terms of, maintaining the expectations or shifting those expectations for your students as well.
Got it.
I definitely think there is still room. There's still 3 months of school left, and so...
Yeah. 3 months and some change.
And they've
so.
already made some progress within your class in terms of meeting expectations. So I think that it's definitely, there's still time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What else do you need in terms of implementing a 3X?
I really don't. So I have the slides, and a visual aid is like really helpful for me. So
I actually think that, Denise shared the PowerPoint with you. You could probably,
literally just make a copy.
Make a copy of it and use it, and then you can. Do you want to choose a 3X exercise?
It was linked in our math PD agenda, right?
It was.
Okay.
It was.
Got it. Okay.
And all you have to do is just like copy paste the video.
Yeah, essentially.
There were a few that we watched. Amanda mentioned there was one that she was going to try out.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the leaky faucet one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to try that again, or you want to choose a different one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably choose a different one.
Yeah. That's what I would do, honestly. Just copy paste the slides and make a copy of it.
Cool.
Okay, so I will, and then actually we can touch base on period 2.
This would be Wednesday, March what?
6.
March 6th. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we can touch base period 2 that day.
Yeah. Literally have period 2 prep.
Yep.
Right after.
Okay. I will invite you.
Cool.
I'm excited to talk about like your thing, and then we can also share maybe student work with the team.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks much, Paul.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you feel okay with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.